For many people, traveling by plane is the fastest and safest way to travel. But if there are 5 accomplices of the murderous Charles on the plane, the situation becomes completely different. These ruthless villains board the plane with only one purpose: hijacking. This man wearing handcuffs and using gestures to intimidate children is Charles. Before this, he had already hijacked several planes and carried out multiple acts of terrorism. After years of effort, the police finally captured him and were about to bring him to Los Angeles for a public trial, as Charles, with premeditation, 5 accomplices infiltrated the plane. At the right moment, the blonde girl shot the police with 2 guns. Charles retrieved the cheese, freed the cuffs, and entered the cockpit. He fired at Captain, causing Vice Captain to back down. Consequently, Charles took control of the plane and all aboard. Everyone was taken hostage except Old High, who had gone to the restroom and avoided harm. His background was remarkable. He had been security personnel for an airline. Nowadays, he works in security training at the airline. Confronted with a sudden situation, he quickly remained calm. While brother Juanma was addressing him, he quietly emerged and took the phone into the restroom. He reported the incident to the FBI, but due to poor signal, Old High spoke a bit loudly and was discovered by brother Juanma. He deliberately acted submissive, shouting and pleading with brother Thiamal not to kill him. Brother Juanma, distracted, was outsmarted by Old Hay, who pinned him to the toilet. He, now combat ineffective, was chosen by Old Hay as a hostage and pressed in front of Charles, threatening Charles to lower his gun, otherwise he would kill brother Juanma. But Charles didn't consider brother Juanma as human. He didn't matter whether he lived or died. He even killed a passenger in front of Old Kun, forcing Old Hay to lower his gun, just as he was about to shoot Old Hay. Old Hui cleverly dodged it, slight attendant Shell Hay. After escaping their restraints, Old Hui and Shell Hay hid in the baggage compartment, highly recommended. Charles couldn't open it from outside either. Just as Mao Hui and Shao Hui entered, he encountered Tao Lao Shu's subordinate, Bold Brother, who was ordered to install the bomb at the airport. Upon Old Brack's entrance, Mao Hay quietly drew his machete. Quick and agile, he navigated the residence remains and shillcaved his thumb Fu at the right moment, seeing himself as Fu Li. Every move revealed both provocation and martial arts mastery. Bold Brother never expected Old Black was a highly skilled master and was ultimately defeated by him. With one kick, Old Black smashed open the mechanical deck, revealing the mechanical world and extolling workers' intelligence. He came up with a good idea: to release the plane's fuel to force it to land. As the plane's fuel was being released, the plane's called Animal Emporia. The plane began to slowly descend. Dales also noticed something was wrong and questioned the co-pilot, finally discovering the issue. Helpless, they had to contact the nearest airport for a temporary landing. Fatai's staff first learned that the plane had been hijacked and immediately notified the police. After the plane landed, Lao Gui found a way to open the cabin door, preparing to disembark Thurmin. However, Zhang Mao had already taken it up, appeared behind him, while the plane had not yet stabilized, kicked his head off with one foot, cutting it into small pieces. Fortunately, the plane's speed had already decreased at that time. Old Grey was not injured as a result, and was soon subdued by the police from Alithan. No matter how he explained his identity, the police did not believe him. They treated him as a terrorist and took him into custody. Subsequently, the sheriff took control and began to converse with Charles. Charles commanded a full refuel of Cathnane. Otherwise, he would kill 5 passengers every few minutes until he reached his destination as a condition for the exchange. When the oil truck arrived, he would first release 100 passengers to show his sincerity. The goldsmith immediately accepted his conditions, believing he had already saved 100 lives. Old Black was brought in. Although he tried hard to explain his identity, Orkaljif didn't believe him. Charles discovered the pimp beside the sheriff and began performing using the walkie-talkie. He said that he was actually one of them and escaped from the plane because he betrayed him. These words made the sheriff firmly believe that Old Grey was the terrorist. He ordered officers to take Old Grey into solitary confinement, awaiting punishment. The oil truck arrived quickly. Sharaf kept his promise to refuel the plane and began releasing hostages, but his clan went far beyond that. As the passengers were disembarking from the plane, he immediately killed several passengers, causing panic and a stampede. Taking advantage of the chaos, he and Bald Brother and Flame Mirror Man. They descended the lower cabin door and slipped away. Dark Brain saw some leave the control tower and realized things couldn't continue. When the officer pinned him down, he suddenly thought that, knocking out 2 officers, he then hopped onto his trusted scooter and chased after Charles. The 3 of Charles blended into the amusement park that Lian Huiwen Wang was coming to. They discovered Lao He, using Charles as bait to lead him aimlessly through the amusement park. A bespectacled man acted as a style hawk, 5 of them following Lao He's strike. As Dark Brain was led to the area with actors, clowns, and children, Mr. Gown suddenly fired from behind, accidentally hitting a palm. The fortunate Lao He quickly fled for his life. He climbed up to the Ferris wheel, eyes turned to the bat, whose neck unguarded, and also climbed up, only to be kicked down by the already ambushed Malhay on the spot. Clearly, Charles saw that the situation was not good. Old Hai quickly changed direction to flee, but was caught by pursuers. A vicious dog lunged at the corpse, then was captured on the spot by arriving police. The FBI agents arrived promptly, also confirming Old Hai's identity, that the suit of the terrorist hijacking incident seems to have reached a satisfactory conclusion, where Old Hui knows clearly. There are still a blonde girl and a long-haired guy on the plane controlling the other hostages. He must eliminate them all in one sweep, so he came up with an idea. Snipers were ambushed around the plane, pretending to escort Charles onto the aircraft. When the accomplices arrived, the snipers killed them all. Act without hesitation. After preparation, everything proceeded as planned, but operation was unstable. But just as Charles boarded the plane, snipers opened fire, killing the two agents with him. Old Hai turned his head and realized that it was Hutu brother behind the attack, having taken advantageous positions. As a result, Charles safely returned to the plane. Codes were arranged and additional agents immediately took off. Seeing that Charles was about to escape again, Old Hai fired 2 shots at Volgother, and that had the officers drive directly beneath the plane that was about to take off. He jumped onto the plane for landing gear and entered through the Miller cabin door, unbeknownst to Charles. Upon entering, Old Black immediately encountered Chang Malvia searching the luggage compartment. He kicked Chum Rauja's gun away with one foot and then unleashed his Chinese martial arts. In the face of Chinese kung fu, all the flashy tricks seemed utterly meaningless. He used skills to send himself directly back to Crystal, then climbed to the cockpit through the luggage compartment, forcing the pilot to turn the plane and land at Field Tower Airport. Just as Yejin turned around and prepared to descend, it aroused Charles's suspicion. He didn't yet know that his husband had boarded the plane and sent Blonde Girl over to check. However, as Blonde Girl just opened the window door, she was subdued by Old Black. Now only Charles remained unresolved. Tianjin had been moldy for a long time without returning, and he also sensed something amiss. Accompanied by Xiaogui, they slowly headed towards the cockpit. In fact, Old Hui had already been ambushed on a single path and suddenly bushed out, knocking away his gun in a hurry. Charles opened 2 boxes, breaking the airplane into glass. At that moment, a strong gravitational pull began to strike throughout the cabin. Under moderate pressure, the superpower drama was assaulted, and strong elements plunged the genre into chaos. Xiaohei tightly held onto the doorknob to avoid being shot out. At that moment, Charles struck the side of the window door. Seeing that he was no match for Charles, now Hei unleashed his long-prepared kick technique. This pain, only a man could truly understand, quickly spread throughout Charles's body. He was too weak to resist and was ultimately sucked out the door by the powerful suction, disappearing into the beautiful night sky as the plane continued its descent. The suction gradually lessened, and ultimately all passengers on the plane landed safely. With that, the terrifying hijacking incident drew to a perfect close. After the incident, now Hei and Xiaohei also sought to romance. From then on, they enjoyed happily ever after. This is an old film from '93. It feels like a long time ago. However, the plot maintains key aspects of psychological obsession, imputing the tough Old Hei post-fighting, the perverted Charles, smart and brave Xiaohei, and the foolish police chief. Jin Chen's fight scenes are as relentless as today's genre deviations. Missing fight effects and fact candidates, but otherwise good and worth watching. Like, subscribe, share, and donate to support the Minding and the Indian channels.